him comes a blurry smoke that makes him lose his footing for a bit, which allows one of them to go behind him. Jaehwan is swift, however, and he easily takes him out. But when he does that, a version of him in military clothing falls from the sky and meets his eyes, begging him to stop. Suddenly, he is transported back to a certain memory, where one of the soldiers he served with apologizes fruitlessly, as he has slaughtered many people. Jaehwan remembers this memory, as he had it right before he entered the tower. The man continues to apologize, as he has worked hard. He knows that too, but now, it is too late. With a heavy heart, he thanks Jaehwan for everything, and points the gun at himself. The bullet casing falls, and Jaehwan remembers that this man was his successor, and also a counselor. He was harassed endlessly by others, which caused him to shoot all of his predecessors and executives in the middle of the night. He was the only one that survived, and all of the leaders, platoon commanders, and battalion commanders were placed somewhere else. Fortunately for him, he was acquitted of any suspicions, because that man wrote in his diary that he was one of the ones who was really friendly. But still, he was thrown in prison for 15 days. In that solitude, he began questioning everything, and maybe then, he really started to hate the system. Naturally, he did not know anything of the world of skills or status, but maybe he was already living in a world of the system, where it suppressed individuals wherever it could. Jaehwan starts to damn everything. As his life flashes before his eyes, his friends, his comrades, himself. Was any of it even true? He continues to thrust and thrust, until a child version of him asks, "Who is he?" This makes him experience fear, something which he hasn't in a long time, but it also makes him tear up. Even still, he strikes himself, and Siren asks him, "How does it feel to experience this gate?" Awakeners say that self-surrender is becoming a new existence, which will make them forget their original self entirely. So awakeners like him, who have experienced self-surrender, receive much more damage from the 8 gates of hell. Even mayors would take their own lives when they experienced something like this, because they simply could not handle that their ego had gotten too large. But to him, it's entirely different. Suddenly, Chung-hyo slashes the 8 gates of hell away and tells him to come to his senses already. Siren holds him gently and whispers in his ear, for someone like him, the ego that he has forgotten after self-surrender, will he really be able to handle going back in time like this? Jaehwan thinks that these are all memories he has thrown away, and this place is a world where he has to end himself in order to continue moving forwards. The gate once again asks who he is, but when he wants to answer, the memories start flooding in, making him think that this place truly deserves its name. It's hell. His body is heavy, and he cannot see anything. Suddenly, he remembers when he and Chung-hyo were teaching Kamen about awakening. Awakening is learning to see, the ability to see the world for what it truly is. There is a difference from awakeners and adapters, however, as the awakened see the values that are truth, and the particles that make up the world. Adapters are able to read the data that cannot be seen, and see things very differently. That is the stage of self-surrender mentioned in Awakenings. In return for this, awakened need to be careful of neglect, as being able to see so many things will eventually make a person blind. Jaehwan finally gets it. What is happening to him now is the neglect that Chung-hyo was talking about. Those who see too much become blind quicker, and those who hear too much become desensitized quicker. Jaehwan is saddened by this. Does it really not matter? To come this far, he has done his utmost. Nobody else was able to come this far. However, now, he knows that he just wants to be able to say that he's having a hard time easily, like everyone does. The world changes around him, and he sees a blue sky with falling stars, which are his memories. He starts to feel a deep understanding and connects the dots. Who is he? Well, he does not know, but at least he is here. But maybe the countless memories he has gotten over the 2,000 years he has lived, and the connections of all of those memories. Maybe, just maybe, that is him. Out of nowhere, the 7th gate begins to crumble, and Siren begins to vomit as she is experiencing rebound. Jaehwan opens his eyes with a new deep understanding and pushes her away, whilst also destroying the gate entirely. He looks at the next gate and wonders what the next keyword is, as he has almost gotten past self-surrender. He will have to leave that for later though, as now, he needs to challenge this final gate. Jaehwan looks at the 8th gate and touches it, fully prepared for anything that is to come out of it. Suddenly, it starts opening itself while glowing brightly, and when Jaehwan enters, he finds nothing except a large, serene space. He wonders what to do, but that's when the stars begin writing a message. He would like to tell this visitor about his trivial story, since he has passed all of the gates of hell. Jaehwan guesses that these are just the records of the one that made the gates, so he watches eagerly. The text notes that he still remembers when the first Abyss expedition started, and identifies himself as Mulark Armelt. This is simply a record of his failure. Outside, chatter can be heard around, and Chung-hyo begs Jaehwan to wake up, but he doesn't move an inch, and the same goes for Siren. Even though she used the technique, she's as unconscious as him. He is weary of this because the people from the Resurrection Palace have arrived, and among them, there's a major general-level guy. The general asks his men if they have found anything yet, and when they reply with no, he commands them to search even more thoroughly, as he is sure those weaklings are around here, somewhere. This is the 11th stage adapter, the hidden scent monarch, Samyong Garam. Chung-hyo is very scared of him, as he is one of the main fighting forces of the 9 regions. Just what is someone so powerful doing in chaos all of a sudden? Suddenly Garam feels something, and sends his attention directly to where Chung-hyo is. He starts preparing a mighty attack, and congratulates them for having hidden for so long, like the little rats they are. He throws a mystical punch at them, but fortunately Siren has woken up, and she teleports them out of there just in time. With his prey gone, Garam focuses his attention somewhere else, and orders his men to reclaim Manticore and search for the Forbidden Heaven Clan leader. While getting out of the portal, Siren wonders, just how many times has she died today only? She also asks Chung-hyo if he has nothing to say after she saved his life so graciously. Naturally, he starts screaming at her, as he is the one who looked after them. Shouldn't he be getting the thanks, not her? She notes that this means they are even, and thinks about what to do, coming to the conclusion that it's better to go to the Gorgon fortress first and foremost. Chung-hyo asks if she has surrendered already, but she explains that naturally she has not. She just has business with this passed-out man. Chung-hyo says that he has already sent a letter to Gorgon via Messenger Eagle, although he did not expect that Jaehwan would still be out cold right now. So, right about now, some warriors who have awakened must have already departed. Indeed, as he says, countless warriors led by Kaiman arrive, and he commands them, from now on, Carpe Diem, the Liberation Army of Gorgon will depart, pass Manticore, and strike the Resurrection Palace once and for all. They charge in with more confidence than ever before, and they all think that with this many awakened all at once, they might actually have a chance. They might just win. Garam sits idly by and watches them while wondering, wouldn't it have been better if they would just stay here, in chaos, and adapt to it fully? He smashes a wall, and notes that they are quite ambitious. But ambition comes from foolishness. He throws part of the wall he broke in small pebbles, which easily tear through the army, as if they were real bullets. Yegal is left awestruck, as he has never seen this kind of power, and so is Jung, who watches as Yegal is killed right in front of him, without any way to defend himself, and without mercy. Garam warns them one final time. They should go back quietly, and forget about their clueless ambitions once and for all. He slams the ground with his feet, and Jung notices that something big is coming, so he orders the remaining soldiers to focus on attacking that guy with everything they have. Unfortunately for them, this was what Garam was waiting for. He unleashes an attack that engulfs them whole, with red misty energy, and Jung is the only one that is able to get out of there, but not without having his arm pulled out of its socket. After this, Carpe Diem, the Liberation Army, has retreated, and that retreat was caused by one single man, the hidden scent monarch, who changed the tide of war in an instant. 10 days later, in the Gorgon's inner fortress meeting room, Yurin announces that, starting from the squadron of 3rd Stage Awakened, 1st Squadron Commander Carlton, to the 9th Squadron of the 9th Stage Adapter, Limitless Clan Leader, along with all of the other squadrons of Carpe Diem, half of their entire forces were decimated in just 10 days. This is a mighty blow to them, because they lost 5 3rd Stage Awakened that were crucial to their fighting force. Aisha trembles, and notes that it would be difficult to continue this war. And what's more, the Resurrection Palace has already reached the doorsteps of the Gorgon Fortress. If they accept the offer that they proposed, they might just make it. The Fire King clan leader asks if she really is suggesting that they hand over the Fortress Master along with the tower, just so that they can survive. Kaiman agrees. They They cannot hand over Jaehwan, and even if she might be extremely keen with her eyes, he knows that she can't see the future. Jaehwan already commanded them anyway, that they should just pave the way. That is all they need to do. Aisha notes that with things going as they are, they have no chance of winning. Maybe they should ask the other monarchs for help, as currently, all of the monarchs that have been dispatched are a part of the 9th region, Pitch Darkness, and most know already that there is still a long-time grudge between the Strong Steel and Pitch Darkness. Jurin wonders if that's wise as they killed his emissary already, the Jade Mask Golden Monarch. Aisha explains that technically, he isn't dead, because those who enter chaos via the narrow gate like he did would just return to their original bodies once they die here. Kaima notes that even if the Monarch of Steel chooses to help, they should refuse it, because chaos must be the one to liberate chaos, and nobody else. Chunghyo and Siren sit beside Jaehwan, who is still very unconscious, and Chunghyo screams at her to wake him up, since she was the one who made him like this in the first place. What kind of illusion has she cast to make him fall asleep for 10 damn days? Siren screams back at him. He is the doctor in this place. So if he's that upset about it, shouldn't he do something about it? Chunghyo ignores what she said for now and asks what she is still doing here. Is she not in cahoots with the Monarch of Pitch Darkness? She explains that the contract they made doesn't matter anymore now, since there is a human who is able to break free from the 8 gates of hell now. Chunghyo wonders what's so special, as that is just an illusion skill she cast on him. Really, it's nothing to write home about. Siren gets even madder, and through her screaming, explains that the 8 gates of hell is not just a skill, it's incredible. And it wasn't even made for humans to use. Its true power is shown when a real mare starts to use it. However, he had hoped that anyone could use this skill, and so, she thought it to the Savant clan, since nobody has ever been able to break through the 8 gates of hell. She has seen it broken a few times though, but when that happened, it was used by humans, so it wasn't at full power. Additionally, what was broken was not the skill, but the mind of the user. But Jaehwan is different from the others, as he managed to break her mind, but broke the skill completely too, as he broke through the 7th gate and arrived at the final 8 gate. For his information, the 8 gate is the gate of rewards, and it's said that those who get there get a very generous reward. Chunghyo has heard about this before. If there is a human that could pass all of the gates and get to the 8, they would become the king of chaos. He heard this from Jagal, but he did not expect it to hold some truth. Siren notes that what is behind the 8 gate is the legacy that her godfather has left behind, his knowledge. Before she can explain further, Jaehwan suddenly wakes up and is very confused as to what just happened. He explains what he saw to Siren and Chunghyo while getting dressed, and notes that now it's time to go to the meeting room. Chunghyo tries to stop him, as he mustn't go there now, since there are people who are suggesting that they hand him over to the Resurrection Palace. Jaehwan ignores him figuratively and literally as he steps over him, leaving Chunghyo shocked. When Jaehwan arrives in the meeting room, some are glad to see him, and some are ashamed, as they have considered something extremely bad. After a few moments of silence, he announces that he will go to the Resurrection Palace, which nobody expected. Kaiman asks him, what is he talking about? He cannot do something like that. He should reconsider. He just cannot go there. Suddenly, Jung includes himself in the conversation and asks him, does he not know that a lot of their comrades have died while he was passed out? They wouldn't have died if they hadn't come to know of freedom and hope. There was not even time to hold the soul farewell procession for them. Jaehwan apologizes, and Jung explains that he hates him to his very core, that he dared to give them life, freedom, and hope. However, despite all of that, they really need him right now. He begs him, along with everyone else, to not go to the Resurrection Palace and stay right here. At the very least, they would rather die while fighting with him. Chunghyo is shocked by their reaction, as he has given them something unbelievable that he should not have, and now, in order for them to protect what they got, they will all give up their lives for it, if need be. Jaehwan says that they are mistaken about one thing though. He is not going to the Resurrection Palace to surrender himself. He is going to the Resurrection Palace in order to send all of them flying. Everyone in the room is shocked, and Chunghyo, who knew it was coming, is still just as shocked. Young asks if he has gone insane, but Jaehwan notes that he's always clear of mind. They all start screaming at him, and asks when he will do it, and he replies with, right now. Siren finds him quite strange but intriguing, as reality does not exist for him, but it does for these humans, who always kneel in front of reality. Knowing this, nobody will be following him in that suicide mission. She is proven wrong, however, as they all throw themselves at him, as they all want to go, in order to free themselves. Siren thinks that they are all insane. So far, they have been living with no problems as souls. Why care so suddenly about life and freedom? Is this really the effect Jaehwan had on them? Jaehwan is grateful for their thoughts, but he will only bring 3 people with him, Chung-hyo, Kaiman, and Siren, who did not expect to be invited at all, so she is rather scared. But Jaehwan just smiles. Siren asks why she would go there, but Jaehwan keeps talking to the others, and notes that even if they are not coming, they will each have their own tasks. Siren screams and screams at him to get his attention, but Chung-hyo tells her to give up. They ask what kind of tasks, and a myriad of other questions, like if destroying the Resurrection Palace really is the end, and what will happen once Chaos is united. Most importantly, Chaos wouldn't recognize Chaos as the core, and many will try to cause division, which is bound to appear at some point. Yong says that they should worry about that when they get to it, as once they destroy the narrow gate, the monarchs will not be able to pass anymore. Jaehwan tells him to not be so sure, as he is sure that the narrow gate wasn't the original way to enter Chaos. Yong is left wondering about it, but before Jaehwan can say anything, Siren finally gets to him and screams in his ear that she's not going. But he offers her a deal. If she helps him, he will tell her about what he saw on the 8th gate, since he is sure that she does not know. Eventually, they all make their way to her workshop and start touching her stuff, even though she told them not to. She explains the embarrassing stuff as gifts from her godfather. She is very conflicted about having others enter her personal workshop, but it cannot be helped, as they need to warp to the Resurrection Palace, which can only be done via warp drive, which she has in here. Chung-hyo finds one of her early towers and goes inside, where he finds the Firewheel Monarch and the 7 Fear Monarch, which he immediately slays. These people were once products, but they remain stuck in the spaces that she created. For those who have been products before, however, what would they feel when they enter the workshop of a mayor? Jaehwan also finds a tower and asks what its name is. Siren says that it's called the World after the end, but it is not finished yet, as he can clearly see. She has started building this tower after she first met him, but she doesn't know how he would feel about it once he sees it. Eventually, she gets the portal going, and she notes that it feels strange, like something is wrong, but well, just maybe her godfather went on the expedition because it felt like this. At the Resurrection Palace, a man watches as others bicker below him. He thinks of them as fools, as if they were people who could reincarnate. They wouldn't be queuing here, but going to the fruit repository instead. Shouldn't they have given up by now, considering they have been waiting for half a year already? This is the 72th Resurrection Palace Master, the Fog Monarch, Hichtmeyer. Some people below him compare their situation and note that even if he doesn't like it, they are similar, since he has also been here for a long time. Naturally, Meyer is insulted by this and puts them in their place, which makes them grovel at his feet instantly. However, he still finds it boring, as if it weren't for the treaty, he wouldn't be just standing around here. The monarchs that came to Chaos after dying in their previous lives have a duty tied to them, that they will become the palace master until the next monarch dies and comes to Chaos. He hopes that soon, someone will die and take his place. Maybe it will be that Jade Mask monarch that was defeated by the Abyss expedition, or that's what he heard at least. Suddenly, the wall starts cracking, and sure enough, it's spread wide open by a giant explosion. Meyer immediately blocks the attack with his powers, but notices that they weren't pushing each other in any way, so his opponent is at the same level as him. While he charges in, he asks if this is the Gorgon Fortress Master, but when he clashes blades, he notices water, as Kaiman was the one to attack. He explains that he's not the Fortress Master, but someone he knows well enough, so he is here to get his payback from 900 years ago. Kaiman tries to attack Meyer, but using his breath ability, he creates a large smoke screen around them which blocks Kaiman's vision greatly. He looks around multiple times but can't even hope to sense Meyer's presence, despite having trained for so long. He really is too weak. That's when he remembers Jaehwan's words, that he can do it, that he believes in that fully. This gives Kaiman the push he needs, and his senses become sharper than ever, allowing him to detect Meyer, who is above him, and strike in just a second. Meyer backs away, but he has been hit pretty badly, and he's naturally shocked to see that Kaiman could notice his presence so well. This makes him full to the brim with rage, as he thinks that Cayman has become too arrogant for his own good. Somewhere close, Jaehwan tells Chung Hyo that he's going to the pleasure palace and bringing the mayor with him. He is sure that Cayman is fully capable of handling this fight. Chung Hyo agrees and tells him a little something about the pleasure palace. The palace that's hidden by the fruit and narrow gate is at the very top of the resurrection palace, and the energy coming out of it isn't good news. So he should be careful, as he will try to reduce the monarchs heading to the pleasure palace with Cayman. Inside of the palace, the real Firewheel Monarch and 7 Fear Monarch wait for anyone to arrive, as what Chung Hyo met previously were fakes. He charges in just like before, but these monarchs have ample time to dodge. They are quite surprised to see the divine physician in here, as they heard that the Gorgon Fortress Master was to be their opponent. But there's just him, an old and frail man. Chung Hyo is surprised that they dodged his slash with such ease. The 2 monarchs say that it's not too late for him. If he brings the Gorgon Fortress Master here, everything will be forgiven. Even if he was able to handle the 2 of them at once, he will not be able to deal with all of the brigadier generals that are safeguarding the fruits. Chung Hyo tells them to stop yapping, as they will solve all of this through fighting like they should have in the first place. In the inside of the Resurrection Palace, at the Pleasure Palace to be precise, tons of people seem to be having fun. The timid monarch, Reika, notes that the stuff that is happening at the main gate has gotten to be quite loud. Shouldn't they go and have a look, just in case? The second Dragon Monarch tells him to relax, as Meyer will surely deal with them. The 4th Dragon Monarch isn't bothered by the conversation and is just enjoying the lady's company. The 3rd Dragon Monarch notes that it just doesn't feel good if he doesn't stop by this place whenever he is in chaos, and the 5th Dragon Monarch agrees. It would be pain if they get their gems cut off by the female Monarch Alliance in the Almighty Land after all. He does not want to lose his because he did something stupid. The 1st Dragon Monarch, who is sitting somewhere private, wonders why the Chaos people have a problem with living in this place, as it's really nice. The fight outside continues as the cups in this place begin to shake because of it, and Reika thinks that this just doesn't sound good, no matter what. He tries to make the others look outside, even for a second, but they will not budge as they believe the Palace Master will take care of it. They don't need to ruin their fun for such a thing. Reika still presses them about it, as if something were to happen, how can they deal with the consequences? Before he can yap again, the 4th Dragon Monarch throws his cup at his head as he was too damn noisy. He should just shut up and stay still instead of ruining their fun like this. If he really is bothered by it, he should go check out what is happening himself. Reika starts gripping his staff out of anger, and the 4th Dragon Monarch sees this as an invitation to fight. The others start looking at Reika with vicious red eyes, which makes him tremble. So he notes that it wasn't his intention to insult. He will go to look alone. The others laugh at him as he leaves, but Reika looks back at them and promises that one day, he will have his revenge no matter what. Suddenly, the 1st Dragon Monarch slowly but surely begins staring at him with an even deeper malice than the others combined. This makes him run away in fear, and the 4th Dragon Monarch thanks him as he knows how to deal with noisy people very well. The 1st Dragon Monarch explains that he just hates noise. That's all there is to it. While they laugh at his expense, a purple light that they have put for ambience begins to flicker, and static begins to appear above them as the light is almost put out by the sheer force. The others notice this only after Siren and Jaehwan are above them, and they are naturally surprised. But Jaehwan doesn't give them the time to regroup and charges in swiftly. The monarchs manage to get away from the blast just in time, but that doesn't mean that they did not see the amount of power that the attack had. Jaehwan stands surrounded by them, and the 1st Dragon Monarch thinks that he must be the Gorgon Fortress Master. Jaehwan confirms it, and the 1st Dragon Monarch notes that he must be insane to come here all by himself. Though, is he here to keep his word, perhaps? Jaehwan denies that notion, and explains that he is here to do one simple thing, to kill all of them. The 1st Dragon Monarch smiles, and he notes that a lowly soul of chaos should not dare to even think of such a thing. Truly, his arrogance knows no limits. Seeing that he is out for blood, Siren warns Jaehwan to dodge the incoming attack, but it moves too swiftly, and Jaehwan is thrown at the wall. He is not keen on giving up, however, and so he tries to use the momentum to throw himself back at his enemy, but that's when the other monarchs charge in, forcing him to dodge if he doesn't want to be struck. Jaehwan throws himself at the floor, but he swiftly gets up, as against these opponents, there is no time to sit still. The 1st Dragon Monarch tells him to stand more proudly, as he will make him pay with his life for disrupting their moment of peace like this. Even if he struggles as much as he can, he will not leave this pleasure palace alive. He orders the other monarchs to attack, and in that second, they all transform into swift red lines due to the amount of speed that they are moving with. Jaehwan tries to hit them, but the attack is too slow, and he gets mocked because of this. A powerful attack is useless if it does not hit a single thing. Jaehwan notices that these bastards are very coordinated, as they are attacking him one after another without resting at all. They will be troublesome to deal with, that's for sure. The third dragon monarch tries to hit him with an awfully heavy attack, allowing Jaehwan to attack him afterwards. But the attack was quite weak, so it bought him only a few seconds of time. Seeing an opportunity, the second and fourth dragon monarchs attack him at the same time, which deals some decent damage. The fourth dragon monarch says that no matter how strong he may be, he cannot win against them by his lonesome. The second dragon monarch notes that even a major general isn't able to block their combined attacks alone. Jaehwan agrees with them. It is tough to deal with all of them individually. However, since it's so damn annoying, he will blast all of them at once. That will make his job much easier. He does just that, and unleashes a mighty attack that can be heard by Chung Hyo, who is still fighting the two monarchs. After the attack is fully discharged, everything around Jaehwan is crumbled, and he is also in a very poor state. Unfortunately for him, the attack did not hit anyone, as the first dragon monarch has blocked his attack by himself, clearly telling him that they are worlds apart when it comes to strength. Siren watches all of this happen from above, and thinks that she did not expect the first dragon monarch to defend so easily against such a powerful attack. Are these people who are tasked with defending the Resurrection Palace really on such a different level? The first dragon monarch pulls out his sword and cannot believe that he dares to ambush the Resurrection Palace with those petty and awfully weak tricks. He is truly mocking them, in more ways than he can count. However, to rectify his awful and arrogant behavior, he will show him the difference between them. He will have to face that all that he is just a vermin of chaos, powerless and brittle. Suddenly, every monarch near the first dragon monarch is assimilated in a red yet dark cloud that emits a powerful wind. The first dragon monarch comes out, but in a different form, that of a true dragon. He should be feeling honored right now, as this is too valuable of a technique to use on someone as lowly as him. But he must show him just how weak he truly is and crush his dreams right now. The first dragon monarch charges at Jaehwan without any remorse, but Jaehwan swiftly moves away and attacks him the moment he gets the chance to. This attack doesn't go through, however, as it cannot pierce the barrier that the first dragon monarch has on himself. Seeing that his attacks are fruitless, Jaehwan backs away, and the first dragon monarch mocks him. Did he really think that he would be able to leave even a single scratch on him? Jaehwan is pushed back even further, but he stops himself with his sword. This gives the first dragon monarch the opportunity to prepare a mighty attack, which Jaehwan tries to block with his thrust. The attack is unleashed and they start clashing. They both put in as much effort as possible, and eventually, the first dragon monarch is the one who pushed harder, so the attack hits Jaehwan fully. After the dust clears somewhat, not even a trace of Jaehwan can be found, and the first dragon monarch notes that it's truly a pity. If he had stayed hidden, he would have been able to live a much longer and perhaps happier life. But unfortunately, his arrogance was the thing that cut it short. Suddenly, Jaehwan appears seemingly out of thin air and lands directly on the first dragon monarch, who is rightfully surprised. Jaehwan says that it's his turn to attack now, making the first dragon monarch put his barrier up and ask if he has not learned his lesson yet. No matter what, his attacks won't be able to pierce through his scale barrier. Jaehwan notes that they will not know unless they try it and focus all of his energy in a single spot. The first dragon monarch notices this too, and now he is truly scared for his well-being. He starts gliding around and eventually bashes his head in the floor, as he will not let Jaehwan do whatever he wishes. After he does that, the first dragon monarch expects to see Jaehwan on the floor, but he is not there. Jaehwan is above him. He notes that he talks too much for a dragon and unleashes a strong concentrated thrust that sends the first dragon monarch even deeper into the floor and breaks the palace's roof entirely. Cayman, who has already dealt with Meyer, watches as this happens and is glad that the fortress master has made it too. Chung Hyo, who has also defeated his opponents, hears the attack and the quietness that follows, so it seems that everything has ended pretty well considering. The once mighty first dragon monarch now sits on the ground, felled by Jaehwan and his blade. Siren looks at this and thinks that she did not expect things to go this well when Jaehwan said they will only attack with 4 people, but surprisingly he pulled through quite well. The first dragon monarch transforms back into his human form, but the damage that he receives still applies, and as a result he is missing an entire arm. He begins to scream at Jaehwan. He will definitely make him regret this, as this amount of humiliation will not be paid even if he dies 1,000 times over. All of this is not over, as he will return to this palace and rip him into pieces. No matter what he does or how many times he hits them, they will not die. Jaehwan says that he's correct, as they came through the narrow gate after all. The first dragon monarch is surprised that he knows about it, but that means he also knows that as long as their bodies and souls are connected to their brains, they will not die, as they will return to the almighty land if that were to happen. Before he can celebrate too early, Jaehwan cuts the link between him and his brain. The first dragon monarch starts to wail in pain, and Jaehwan asks how it feels now, that he is facing true death. The first dragon monarch looks at his hand and can't believe that Jaehwan managed to cut off the brain link. Something like this shouldn't be possible. That is when he finally realizes that he does not want to die, so he resorts to pleading. What does he want? Skills? Maybe status? He will give him anything he wants. He will ask the Grand Monarch to do so. The monarchs who are still left conscious hear all of this, their once venerated leader, now groveling on the ground, begging to be spared no matter what. Both Jaehwan and Siren look at him with disgust in their face, and without a single shred of mercy, Jaehwan jabs his sword into the first dragon monarch's neck, killing him on the spot. Reika, who has watched all of this go down, falls on the ground, as he cannot believe that one of the 5 dragon monarchs has perished. He was going to check around when he heard a commotion inside of here. But anyway, now he must inform the major generals about this whole ordeal, and he must be quick. Suddenly, Chung Hyo appears from behind him, and with an awfully creepy expression asks where he was going, and to whom he was going to report to. Both Kaiman and Chung Hyo arrive where Jaehwan is, and they are both dragging the people they beat up. Jaehwan congratulates them on a job well done, and Chung Hyo notes that they captured everyone alive, like he told them to. But it was really hard, so he should be thankful. Jaehwan notices that they have additional baggage, and Chung Hyo explains that he found him snooping around the entrance. Siren recognizes him as the timid monarch, a person who has a general-level brigadier of spirit power, but he is despised by others since his skills are nothing to be impressed by. Chung Hyo asks why he ordered them to leave these guys alive, and Jaehwan puts it bluntly. He just needs to make sure that they are dead. He begins cutting up all of their brain links and then butchers them on the spot, all while Reika just watches and thinks that all of this is a nightmare. After the Resurrection Palace appeared, the monarch seemingly obtained immortality. Mortals need to count up the days they have left since their lifespan is limited, but the monarchs who gained immortality because of the fruit need not do so. So they have forgotten even the concept of death at this point. However, Reika feels that soon, he will die by this person's hands. He has refounded his fear of death after all of this time. He begs Jaehwan to spare him, as he had no intention to fight. But Siren thinks it wouldn't be wise to leave him alive. Jaehwan decided to leave him be, as he needs a witness, and also the location of the fruits. Reiken immediately points to them, as they are above them in a vault. The vault is called Reverse, a vault made by a mayor who was a renowned artisan. He only knows that it generates passwords infinitely, so it would be hard to unlock it without the help of the Resurrection Palace Master, who he just killed. However, things might have been different if there was a renowned artisan mayor who had exceptional skills among them. Without much choice, Jaehwan prepares to thrust the vault, but Chung Hyo tells him to control his strength, while Kaiman laments not having a mayor that's a renowned artisan among them. Seeing that these idiots are not getting what she's trying to point out, Siren just unlocks the vault, and it slowly begins opening, bathing everyone in a golden light. Kaiman is the most shocked by this, as these fruits are what the Abyss Expedition departed for in the first place. He is hit with a wave of emotion as he remembers his mentor and what he learned from him, which is irreplaceable. After so much time, finally they have it in their hands. They grab all of the remaining fruits, which are very little in number, and Chung Hyo speculates that they must have used tons of them up until now, but with only these, they will not be able to share it amongst the people of Gorgon, not to mention the entire Chaos region. Kaiman looks at the fruit with a sad expression, and Jaehwan notices. He tells him that it's okay for him to have it. Truly, he is the most qualified to get back his life. It is time for him to make his own choice, which he will not be shamed for no matter what. Kaiman thinks that it's been too long, and it has been a long fight where they all went through too many tough times. He can still remember the souls that have sacrificed themselves in order to even have a chance at the fruits and the indignity the living have gone through. This should be the reward for all of those very tough times. However, he rejects this reward and crushes the fruit with his very hand. The others are naturally shocked by his decision, except Jaehwan. They ask what he's doing, and Jaehwan asks him why he destroyed the fruit like this. Kaiman explains that he did it only because there are 10 fruits left. The moment he held this thing, he realized that these fruits will become the seed of conflict, and they will begin fighting each other for the hope that at least 10 people will be sent back to life. If that were to happen, chaos will never be saved. Jaehwan smiles, as this was an incredibly tough decision to make. Kaiman asks Jaehwan what they are going to do with the other fruits, as they still have some left. Jaehwan, just like Kaiman, destroys the fruit under his boot, with Chunghyo joking that everyone would die of shock if they saw that. Jaehwan believed that Kaiman would do this from the start, because he is like this. He would choose to despair alone, while longing for the true salvation that everyone deserves. Jaehwan asks if he will regret his decision, but Kaiman notes that is unlikely to happen. Suddenly a portal appears above Kaiman, and he is struck with deadly force that sends him into the ground. This was done by the Major General Storm Monarch Kanael, a 10th stage adapter. Before Chunghyo can get into action, he is grabbed from behind and thrown into the wall by the silent monarch Magito. Jaehwan doesn't know where to focus his attention, but suddenly a man notes that he has crossed the line after all. This has now become a matter that cannot be solved by just taking his life. Raika recognizes this man. It's Samyong Garam. Even among the major generals, he is considered a monster because of his strength, so he must hide now to not get dragged into his sights. Garam tells Kanael and Magito to charge, which they instantly do, while Jaehwan tells Siren to drag the injured away. Magito binds his hands and feet, allowing Kanale to strike him, but he manages to dodge. Even if he does all of this, the relentless attack does not stop, and Jaehwan is getting pushed back by the sheer volume of their attacks. Seeing a clear opportunity, Kanael uses his abilities to push Jaehwan into the wall, which makes both of his attackers think that he is just a weakling that dreamed too much, an insect. With that, they both charge in to finish him off, but with a newfound confidence, Jaehwan looks at them with his glistening golden eyes. Back when Jaehwan destroyed Manticore, Chunghyo told him that his abilities are truly amazing, and this ability shouldn't be called a strong thrust, but a world thrust. However, he personally thought that he should avoid overusing such powerful attacks. He explained that the Awakened can use their spirit power without any sort of restriction, but in exchange for that, they will consume an amount of mental power. If he were to use such a messy and huge technique constantly, he would be sure to collapse. Jaehwan thinks otherwise now, as the guys he's fighting are at the same level as he was when he got to Chaos, so he needs to get rid of them now, while they are still underestimating his strength. He breaks out of his restraints and puts his feet firmly on the ground to prepare for the attack he is about to unleash. His sword starts glowing an electric red, and it opens its gaping mouth as it shows the true reality of this world. With a loud scream, Jaehwan unleashes 5 consecutive world thrusts, all stacked into one, which instantly takes out the attackers that were toying with him earlier. Garam watches all of this with eager eyes, and Siren barely manages to get out of the attack range. After all is said and done, Garmin notes that he did not believe he could exert so much power just with his physical force. What a truly incredible individual. Truly, it has been too long since he found someone worth fighting, like him. Many moons ago, there was a mayor that searched for the monarchs of the 12 regions. All of the monarchs he had met previously rejected his request, but this did not make him give up. The last region he visited was the 9th one, where he met Garam and asked him to join the Abyss expedition. He tried to plead with him, explaining that this world's value of existence and exaltation of life is not normal in the slightest, and that he should remember the suffering mixed with anger that he felt when he was weak. This entire world, this entire system can be destroyed if they eliminate the first nightmare at the very top of the illusion tree. Garam refused and said that he was dreaming of delusions. This must have been why Pitch Darkness did not wish to meet him. He should already know that the Almighty Land is a place that is reserved only for the strong. So if he wishes to change that, he should show him what he's truly capable of. What followed was a battle that lasted 3 days and nights. But on the 3rd day, Garam finally acknowledged the mayor's pure strength. Back then, Garam thought that if the mayor is this strong without using any magic, then he is the only one qualified to talk about the illusion tree. After their fight, the mayor ran around various places, including chaos, and gathered enough people to head for the abyss to change the world. However, after the monarchs stole the fruits from them, the mayor seemingly disappeared and nothing had changed at all. Jaehwan is the one to attack first, and Garam notes that he does indeed have powerful attacks. However, that is not enough to be considered powerful. He puts his hand forward and blocks the attack with ease, while saying that he has all of the cards he needs in his hand, but he cannot use them, as he does not have the right class. At this level, he is no different than a squire raising a sword for the first time. Does he not agree? In that second, Garam closes the distance between them, and before Jaehwan can react, he punches him so hard he is sent flying at very high speeds into the nearby wall. Garam tells him to stand up, as he knows he's not done yet. Jaehwan does just that, and the same fiery confidence burns in him once again. Garam notes that if he dares to speak of the illusion tree, he should first show how truly strong he is. Jaehwan thinks that this guy is stronger than the two weapons combined, but he's not using a special technique, it seems. So even if he tries to read him with question, the amount of experience he has gathered is too stacked up. Still, he is too strong. But why is that? Can simple experience truly be this strong? He charges in once again with a much powerful attack, but Garam is not impressed and hopes that this rather weak attack isn't the only thing he has left. However, Jaehwan changes his footing, skillfully dashes towards Garam's back, and uses a world thrust to potentially finish him up. Garam notes that he's relying only on cheap tricks and also changes his footing, allowing him to challenge his world thrust with a very similar punch attack. Jaehwan is shocked to see that this attack is on the level of world thrust, but he doesn't have time to think about much else, as Garam charges in and hits him with precise accuracy. He gently lands on the ground and explains that spirit power cannot work on him at all. In the end, the spirit power that he is using is something that the system cannot supply him with. But awakened like him are trying to destroy this system's world with it. Because of this foolish mistake, they do not know that this world is someone else's unique world. While being held up, Jaehwan thinks that if it's true, Garam's power is more natural than spirit power. The world itself, perhaps even the root of power. This guy is the system's world. His eyes open wide, and he begins activating his own reality. Moon Eye. But Garam isn't impressed in the slightest, as this is a non-fundamental technique and a unique world without the original creation, which is no different than petty sorcery. Garam kicks Jaehwan into the ground and then punts him across the room once again. If he's being honest, he is rather disappointed as the awakening he knows of is not this weak. He unleashes another attack on him which Jaehwan tries to defend himself from. But even with his sword held between him and the attack, his hands begin to burn from the power, and his flesh starts to peel away. He manages to clear the attack away, but he knows that this is not good, as the momentum of Moon Eyes is not doing anything right now. Garam has had enough of playing around, as he has met a potentially worthy enemy, but he is not excited in the slightest. He should hurry up and open the beginning of this world. He should show him his world. Jaehwan thinks that Genesis was the 8th door of rewards in the 8 gates of hell. In that room, Mullark left behind the reward called the Record of the Abyss, and a story of the stage of awakening. Following the rules of awakening, the keywords can change, but the awakening itself is almost always composed of 6 stages, created this way in order to destroy the existing world. The first stage is doubt, the second is understanding, and the third is self-surrendering. These 3 stages are a part of the first half, named Fallen World. After they are completed, stages are needed to create a new world. The last 3 stages are a part of Genesis, the latter half. Jaehwan felt that the next stage of awakening was happening to him, but he did not understand what Genesis truly meant. Garam thinks that he is truly pathetic. Does he really have difficulty with using his own world? He is not the patient type, so he will need to forcibly open it and check it himself if he wants to have any sort of fun. He aims an attack directly at where Siren is hiding with Chung Hyo and Kai Men, which Jaehwan notices. He rushes to help them, which makes Garam smile with his bare teeth. Jaehwan thinks that this life is everything to these people, as he can revive any time. But to them, this world is the only world that they have and know. Siren notices that he is standing right in front of the attack, but she cannot do anything to help him, so he takes the full brunt of it. The dust slowly begins to clear away, and Siren is surprised to see Jaehwan still standing. This occurrence has made him understand something important. The only world he knew was growing up with his parents, going to school and making friends, crying, laughing, being sad or devastated. All of these countless and precious memories. The him from back then could never question the world he was in. He existed only because he did not question the world, and the world system was created through absolute certainty. That means the thing he needs to start Genesis is true conviction in his own world. Belief is a strong conviction that is sometimes forgotten, and in order for a world to be born, it means that it needs overpowering belief, something which he cannot hope to do alone. Not only the him from the present, but the him from his past memories needs to yearn for a new world. Garam charges in with another punch, as he is tired of waiting, but Jaehwan doesn't pay it any mind, as he begins pleading with his past self. Some say that the world he wants is fake, and it's only a method for him to escape reality. There is no reason for them to help him with this. Jaehwan knows that he cannot convince every him there is, so if they are not going to help him and only drag him down, they should get lost, as he doesn't need them anymore. Jaehwan and Garam continue their fight, with Garam putting Jaehwan in his place by beating him again and again, something which seems to begin boring him. He notices that Jaehwan is not moving and asks if he's really exhausted after only this. His past self appears and asks if he's really planning to die in a place like this. As if he dies, they are all going to. They have all come so far. Did he truly forget what they went through? He should not make a fool of himself and run away. Hasn't he been met with enough despair already? With Jaehwan on his knees, Garam thinks that their battle has ended. It is truly a shame. However, Jaehwan hilts his sword into the ground, which surprises both Garam and his past self. Jaehwan slowly stands up, and once again, his confidence is shown through his eyes. This impresses his past self, as he knew that he was always a crazy bastard, but it also seems that they have forgotten who they were. If it's like this, they will help him, just this one time. Garam begins shaking and laughing with excitement, as every Jaehwan that has ever existed seeps into the current Jaehwan, which allows him to break the world and reach Genesis. Siren cannot believe her eyes, and Jaehwan's world stands proud behind him. The stage 4 of awakening is the power to turn lies into truth, the power to turn any belief into reality. From purple fragments, a sword begins to form, and when it has taken its full form, it falls directly into Jaehwan's hands. This is the 4th stage of awakening theory. Garam notices that sword must be his world, and truthfully it does suit the word end, the appearance of the world where everything is corrupted. It is truly an unfortunate world that was born in order to destroy and nothing else. However, even if he has achieved this awakening, the result of their battle will not change. They both charge in at the same time, which creates a ripple of air and force throughout. Garam begins pushing even further and notes that this power, this is what is called a real fight. They begin to trade blows so fast only their figures can be seen, and Garam says that this is very fun, just like when he fought against that mare 1,000 years ago. He thanks Jaehwan for letting him have so much fun again. However, they need to end this one way or the other. He grabs Jaehwan's shirt and throws him against the wall. Jaehwan moves swiftly to land with his feet on the wall, but Garam's attack does not end here, as he charges in with even greater malice. Their powers clash in one point, which creates a very large explosion in the area. Jaehwan manages to get out of the blast zone before he could be injured, and remembers that he kept thinking about something. For what purpose did he thrust, and most importantly, live for? Garam interrupts his thoughts by trying to punch him again, but Jaehwan manages to dodge and thinks that now all he does is thrust and thrust and thrust, just as if he was at the time where he did not come to understand the rules of the world. He just enjoyed thrusting innocently, without thinking about it at all. While Jaehwan is deep in thought, Garam begins to laugh like an absolute maniac, but apologizes shortly after, as he knows it must have been an ugly sight. This makes Jaehwan smile too, as without taking the situation into account, he is really glad to have met such a worthy opponent in this world. Even if the result is not what he wished for, he hopes that this moment would last just a little while longer. They continue to fight and fight, making Jaehwan ask if this is all that the system has to give while smiling. Garam, with an even wider smile, notes that it isn't. So they charge each other once again, creating a force that pushes every piece of rubble away and makes a large wave of power surge throughout. After everything clears, Garam explains that this is the first time he has had so much fun in 1,000 years, but to think he would meet such a worthy opponent in chaos, truly he is touched beyond measure. Jaehwan's tone changes into a serious one, as he notes that he was able to feel something while they were fighting. just like how he has been thrusting for the past 1,000 years. He too must have been training one skill for 1,000 years or more. It is a shame that someone like him is an adapter of all things. This is very similar to what Mullark said to him, which makes Garam shake violently. He notes that he wants to ask just one thing, just what is he really trying to achieve in this world? Jaehwan says that he's going to the abyss, no matter what. Garam smiles, as his words are as hollow and weak as the mayor's. They are both fools, as the abyss is filled with strong people who surpass him by a lot. The great monarchs gave up their dreams, and in the end the mayor failed too. Is he still going to try, even after all of this? Garam begins summoning all of his power, which encircles him in a large tornado-like wind, which even manages to push Jaehwan back a bit. After everything clears, an angelic being stands above Garam, and Jaehwan's eyes widen with surprise as he sees. Garam, now with the power of the Black Gatekeeper General, beckons him forward to show him that power that suits his ambitions. Siren is shocked to see this power as its gatekeeper and demigod conversion. Garam said that he was at the rank of Major General, but that was an outright lie, as he is definitely at the Lieutenant General rank. Garam grabs his weapon and asks Jaehwan to prove his world, once and for all. With a wicked smile, he exerts his power, which makes